Mr. Hartley, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to call this meeting to order, and by doing so ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
I have a motion. I have a second. Second. A motion second. Any discussion? The agenda is approved. I guess I'm going to vote. All in favor? Aye. We need a motion to approve the minutes of the public hearing on 2014-2015 school budget and the February 11th, 2014 board meeting. Do I have a motion to approve those?
Make a motion.
I have a motion. I have a second. Second. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those minutes are approved. Is Josh here? We'll call him. Now is the time that we would recognize Josh, and of course the other wrestlers should be commended that went to the state, and he was the first state champion wrestler at Lee High School. Even though he's not here, we want to recognize that achievement. That's pretty special. Mr. Carter, would you tell us please about the schools with the highest percent of attendance?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, for the month of February, Pennington Middle came in first place at 93.78% of attendance. Dryden Elementary came in second at 93.58%. And I just probably need to mention that St. Charles Elementary was a very close third at 93.57%. Dryden 93.58, St. Charles 93.57, and certainly want to commend all three of those schools really for a job well done.
Thank you. We come to the public expression time here, the school board meeting. Anybody want to come to the podium and address any issues? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Carter, and board members. I'm Suzanne Goins with Virginia Professional Educators. I'm the regional director. Haven't been able to come to some of the meetings lately due to my parents, elderly parents, and their illnesses. But I'm very proud to announce that one of your teachers, Vicki Snockers, is going to be coming to the meetings and covering them for VPE. And the reason we do this is to represent our members and to keep them in touch with what's going on in the school system. I want to remind you of our grants and scholarships that we give up to $500. The next one, we have one in the spring and in the fall. And for the spring, the deadline is June the 15th. So your teachers still have plenty of time to apply for those, as long as it benefits the children. It can be also a scholarship to further the teacher's education. And you do not have to be a member of VPE. About a third of the grants that we give are not members of our organization. So, because we just want to support all teachers. But I want to thank you for the job that you do and the support that you give our school system. And as you know, Vicki Snockers, would you stand? I'm sure all of you know her. She's just a fine person. And
Have you done a background check on her?
Oh, I think she passed 100. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ann. Anyone else? Having no further takers, we'll move to the report section. Under A, the VSBA School Law Conference. Mr. Carter.
The Virginia School Board Association School Law Conference will be held June the 6th on June the 6th, 2014. Registration deadline is May the 15th for that.
Any questions? Under B, process for the nomination and election of VSBA regional officers. Mr. Carter?
You have, of course, a memo in your packet. If any board member is interested in participating in the election of Virginia School Board Association regional officers, there is a packet of information there that you will need to read, some forms you need to fill out. So that's basically for the board members that might be interested in participating as a regional officer for VSBA.
Any questions on that topic? Hearing none, Mr. Carter, the enrollment.
Our enrollment as of the end of February was at 3,197. Of course, we've now dropped below the 3,200 mark. That is down 5 students from this same period last month and up 6 students from this same period a year ago.
Any questions or comments?
Mr. Carter, the ADM numbers were turned in by the last day of this month, correct? For ADM?
End of March, yes, sir, that's correct, March 31st.
And you know how we're doing since this has been printed out? I mean, we lost anybody the last week or two?
Well, I mean, as far as me knowing for certain, I don't. I'm sure there's a possibility that we have, but that's not something.
We're still a little bit above our projected number, correct?
Actually, the state had us projected this year for 3118. We built our budget on 3150, so we're quite a bit above what we built the budget on. Yes.
Okay.
We should be in good shape budget-wise.
Anyone else? Financial report, Ms. Leonard.
Good evening. This is a summary of our financial activity for the month of February. We had state revenues of $2,098,757.62. Federal reimbursements and revenues totaled $248,478.89. Local revenues and receipts totaled $14,431.51. And insurance revenue total was $320,383.47 for total revenues of $2,682,051.49. As of February 28th, we had received 55.82% of our estimated revenues for the year. Our expenditures for the month of February, our general fund payroll and accounts payable totaled $2,480,172.01. Title I payroll and accounts payable totaled $135,612.61. Head Start payroll was $106,687.62, and insurance payments total $256,505.99. Our total expenditures for the month of February were $2,978,978.23. And as of February 28th, we had used 51.78% of our appropriations for the year.
Any questions or comments? Under action agenda items, A, consider approval of promotion and retention policy. Mr. Dean.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Carter, members of the board, in your packet, I believe you had a copy of the proposed promotion and retention policy. I'd like to tell you that we've developed this with the cooperation of everyone here in this staff, all of the schools, the principals. We sent it out to the teachers, and we got comments from the parents as well. And I'm glad to answer any questions you may have on that.
Mr. Chair, I've got a few. And just looking at the policy and some of the written things there, for example, on page 2, in the opening paragraph there, where it says the final decision, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
And it does that on the following 3 pages too, as far as that goes. I think in a way the wording on the 5th page under the appeals would be, I think the wording of that is a whole lot better than those sentences.
Okay.
And another thing is under the parent notification. Why is the parent notification just under the high school section and not with any of the primary, elementary?
We made you put since it applies to all of them.
Well, since all the others are divided up, it would appear to me that just,
Okay.
now, since the first paragraph of all those are essentially the same, maybe it would be just have one and then separate out which grade level you're talking about and just kind of have one thing. And also, something was said also about that since the SOLs are labeled as English and some of the wording says reading, that it might not take into consideration writing, and since writing is a part of the accreditation standards, that instead of referencing reading, it might be better to do English. And I think maybe the last question I have, and is this policy supposed to go into effect this year?
We would ask that it would. All of the schools and the principals have requested that it go into effect.
Well, I'm just thinking about a request last year that we had of a policy be changed right before the end of the school year. And we kind of felt like that it was a little bit too late to change in the middle of the spring type thing.
When I talked to the principals, they asked that it go into effect, and they said they didn't have any problem having the 3 meetings with all the parents if there were any that may be in danger of being retained.
Anybody else on the board got an opinion in regards to that? As far as the timing?
I'm a little concerned about the timing of it myself. I read through this, and of course, I don't believe in social promotions, and I was kind of jumping on board. I was almost happy to see something like this done. I just have a little bit of reservation, and maybe I think the reason I might have that is because I don't want to act on something so quick and then regret my decision later. I'd have to think about it, but I know this is something you probably need right away if we're going to enforce this year.
Correct.
This year. So, the parts that, like I said, the parts of the policy that I've read, I read the whole thing. I do like it. I think it's something we really do need. I'm just a little hesitant.
Will a 1 month delay cause too much problem?
Well, I think the concern that the principals and everyone had was
Let's having the 3 meetings and that.
having the 3 meetings, and then the writing test starts next Monday. That's the window for the writing test starts.
But I'd
next
also
Monday.
like to say, if the board is not comfortable with it, I would rather that you table it until we have time to give you ample time to review it, and also for us to, get it the way you want it if you don't feel comfortable with it. And certainly, it's something that the principals have requested that we try to get in place, but if the board's not comfortable, then we don't want to do that until you feel comfortable with it.
And I believe even if you put it off for a month, we could go ahead and tell the principals, I think they should be having meetings with any of those parents, and they could document that they have already had a meeting. And that could be considered one of the 3.
Let me ask something else about the students with disabilities or that have IEPs and this how are most of their placement levels, how do I want to say this? How are they evaluated to see, how are they going to evaluate some of theirs, especially like the ones that are going to be tested like through the VGLA and stuff like that, that whether, I'm just wondering, I'm kind of concerned, like, compared to other students. It seems like they're getting kind of a little extra benefit because, hey, we got all these different standards that we cannot retain you because of the Disabilities Act. But at the same time, I don't think, we may have somebody performing at a low level that we're going to not pass, and then we may have somebody that's also performing at a low level just because of their IEP, we have to promote them.
Yeah, those will have to be looked at individually through the IEP, and the IEP team will have to help make that decision based on their goals, what was set in the IEP. And Dr. Brown may be able to add some insight on that, but each one will have to be individual.
I mean, regular ed students that don't have individual IEPs is pretty much black and white. They have to pass part of the SOLs, they have to certain tests and stuff like that. But the students with IEPs, everybody's going to be evaluated individually. That's a lot of time.
Because each one of them has an individual IEP plan.
They do it though. That's a requirement of their IEP. They do it each month. It's not anything extra they would do.
Mr. Chairman, I have concerns about it too, because I think any retention or promotion policy should be in place when the school starts. Because when you get in the middle of the year and you change the policy, then you're going to have some parents saying, well, if I'd have known this at the beginning of the year, I would have done things different or whatever. But I haven't heard that too. I don't think we should change it. We put it in place here with 2 months to go in school.
We do have we currently have a promotion and retention policy. The only thing,
But it would be different if
it would be different. This one, there is some changes in this one.
Can I have a motion with the board's pleasure to table this till next
Yeah, I was just
month
saying, I'll make a
with
motion that we
revisions?
table it.
With revisions that we've discussed? Can I get a motion to do that? Debbie?
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Have a motion, have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
So if you'll bring that back, Brian, with the revisions that we discuss next month.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Under B, consider approval of VSBA policy updates. Ms. Adams?
Good evening. You had in your packet a copy of the policies, and I went through the red line and I did try to mark with the marker to show you what was changed that was in the highlighted areas. So we also had an explanation of the policies for February update, and mostly they were for clarification, policy update to reflect amendments to a code, cross-references, legal references. There was one where there was an insert that was EGAA for reproduction and use of copyrighted materials. We needed names there, and the superintendent, principal, and or librarian. Some policies were deleted. On policy KD, public participation in school board meetings, I do have the form that you are now using that serves for those required regulations. The amount of time and so forth that the speaker will be allowed. And on KLB, recommendation is for option 1, public complaints about learning resources. And that's all that I have. And there was a new one, relations with parent organizations, and that was merely a clarification. So I recommend that you approve the VSBA policies as presented. or with corrections that you may have.
Any questions or
Yes,
comments?
I've got a couple. BCEA, which is the disciplinary committee, that is an optional committee. Are we going to do anything with that policy?
Which one do you say?
Let's go back and look now. It's the one on the discipline committee, which is an optional, that we can have a disciplinary, it's a BCEA.
It says the disciplinary committee composed of at least 3 school board members presides over all cases of student suspensions of more than 10 days and expulsions within the Lee County School System Division. The decision of the committee, if unanimous, is the final decision of the school board. In non-unanimous decisions, the student has the right to appeal to the full school board. The school board shall render a final decision in such cases on the appeal within 30 days of the committee decision. And then it says the disciplinary committee follows procedures set forth in policy JGE, student suspension expulsion.
What I'm going to say is if we don't adopt it, I think we just need to get it out of the policy. Unless Mr. Chadwell's getting ready to volunteer some of us.
No, I think
I've already made my motion.
we're not voting.
Who should serve on it?
If it is adopted, the board would need to advertise the hearings of that board, even though they would be conducted in executive session, they would still need to advertise a hearing.
Would this replace what we're doing now?
Yeah.
If the decision were unanimous, it
Then
would
take it out.
You want to continue on?
I did.
I don't have any complaint with what we're doing now. I can't see that much difference.
Well, we can leave that option in there, though, couldn't we? Guess we want to go back to it later.
Okay.
I mean,
Couldn't
the
the state to have, I thought the way it stated, you had to go to a panel of 3 school board members first. Isn't that the way it's stated?
If that's what we decide to do.
Well, I think the way you've been handling it actually has been working well, and it would
Yeah.
eventually come to you anyway if they appeal the decision of the committee, so.
I would rather eliminate it and not have to worry about that. Because, I know what's going to happen if we have 3 school board members, Mr. Chapel.
I thought you were
I already had it picked out.
No, sir, I'm not.
Y'all do a good job.
So it would be leave it as is for the 5.
Yes.
Yes. Anything else?
Yeah, I've got a
Go
couple
ahead.
more. I've got EDC. EDC. Yeah, we'll give it alphabets before it's over.
We're not worried about that. We're not worried about reading about this.
And I think this is one of those policies, they may come back and realize they made a mistake here with Seth, because the title of it doesn't match up with the second paragraph there. My suggestion is where it says the employees are prohibited from utilizing school property for personal use or gain, common, except as consistent with local policy LC-K01, which is the use of school facilities property. And Mr. Hobbs might want to make a comment on that.
Is that the one that we amended earlier this year?
Yes.
The revision to the model state policy in this case would expressly incorporate this board's local policy, which allows individuals and organizations to make use of school property. So it would ensure that employees had no greater rights than do other members of the public, but at the same time would preserve their rights as members of the public to seek the use of school facilities.
And I'll make that motion, that we add the,
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Uh,
Passed with revisions.
almost there. KBE, page 2. It looks like there's some choices that need to be made there also. And Mr. Fee might need to clarify some of those on there.
Can you give me that number again?
KBE, page 2.
Internet privacy.
Yes, it's about cookies, Mr. Fee. Whether it's chocolate chip or oatmeal. About whether we do place cookies or not place cookies, or
Now, where are you seeing that?
Do we want
there's
to allow
round.
Chris, I don't know, I'm not sure you looked at that.
No, I have not.
No.
Well, that's probably a good idea if we probably let you have an opportunity to do that before we
Yeah,
make
and there's some routing information there that looks like there might need to be some decisions on.
What's the policy now?
KBE.
I'll take a look.
The only other thing I'll have about the policies is just maybe a suggestion that if all there is a legal reference change, or they decide to change will to shall or to may, or just a grammatical change, that those policies go ahead and be made and just give us like the first 2 or 3 pages that's here.
I'm just going to say on the internet policies, I thought we're at liberty to make changes as deemed necessary anyway, according to the bottom of the first page.
Mhm.
You can, I mean, certainly no problem with that, making a change any time.
And we had a policy change last year.
Well, I mean, what I'm saying is, instead of printing out all these policy changes like this, as I say, if the policy hasn't changed, if they've just decided it's a code change or something like that,
Oh, okay.
that it be made automatically because the policy itself has not changed.
I understand.
Do I understand that what we would put in is the Lee County internet privacy, internet policy that you're working on now?
We'll work on that. We've changed that this summer.
The one that we've just done, that's what would go in.
I'll agree over it.
That's all I have.
Anybody else? Do I have a motion to approve the policy updates as presented with revisions?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Thank you.
The revisions to the 2013-2014 school calendar, snow makeup days, Mr. Carter.
As the board's aware, probably we've missed 17 days, full days of school thus far this year. We've had 3 2-hour delays, and there are 3 half days built into the calendar. And of course, this has certainly been a problem all across the state for divisions trying to make up snow days or make up hours. And the Department of Education issued a state memo on February the 18th, school calendars and makeup days. And of course, the board has a copy of that, as well as the Code of Virginia 22.1-98, which governs the length of the school year. And based on the 17 days that we've missed, Mr. Miles has made a suggestion, certainly going on clock hours instead of trying to complete the 180 school days. And he had looked at if we leave the calendar as it is, but extend the year. Right now we're scheduled, our last day is May the 29th. But go to school on the 30th, which is on Friday, and go to the next week in June, which is June the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. He has proposed a half a day on the 5th. Considering clock hours, that will give us 280 minutes over the 990 clock hours. And just in case we were to have a couple of 2 more hour delays, we would still be okay with the number of minutes. It does, however, only have us putting in 173 instructional days, but of course we're counting the 990 clock hours in this case, looking at fulfilling the requirement based on 990 clock hours and not the 180 days. But I do want the board to be aware that that would be 173 instructional days, and with 280 minutes at this point in time, that would be over and above the 990 clock hours, which would cover like 2 2-hour delays if we were to have them.
Any discussion?
Just like to, I have no problem with that, except are we still going to do the thing on if the teachers have the option of getting out on that Saturday, coming in that Saturday instead of coming in the following Monday?
That's certainly no problem. That is no problem. If that's their choice, that's no problem at all.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, I don't really like the 173 days. I like 180, but as I'm going to bring up later on, with all the extra time they've done with professional development and everything else, if they can do their job in 173 days or SSL scores are good, I'm all for it.
Well, I'm like you. I'm not particularly crazy. I mean, I'd like to see us have the additional instructional time, but this is far beyond our control, the weather. So.
And we may be on one of those 2-hour delays Thursday.
That's right, and we have some more coming this way. So.
Do you want that in a motion?
Got a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Revised calendar passes. Overnight trips, Mr. Carter.
We have 5 overnight field trip requests, one from Thomas Walker for the state FBLA conference on April the 3rd through the 6th. The rest in Virginia. The Lee County Career and Technical Center has requested a trip on April the 4th through the 6th to Roanoke for the Skills USA State Contest and Awards Ceremony. Thomas Walker High School has requested a trip in the summer of 2015 to Spain, France, and Italy. Departure date would be July the 13th, 2015. Return date July the 24th, 2015. We also have a request from Lee County Career Center for an FBLA state competition April the 3rd through the 6th at Reston, Virginia. And Lee County Career and Technical Center has a request for the National DECA competition on May the 2nd through the 7th in Atlanta, Georgia.
Any questions? Could I get a motion to approve those field trips?
Motion.
Have a motion, a second? Second. Have a motion, second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Carter, the early retirement plan.
In your package, you have Plan 13 that was approved last year for this year. As of right now, that is the plan. There had been some suggestions to some changes that had been proposed, and that plan with the Plan 13 with the proposed changes is the second plan in your packet, and certainly that's the board's consideration. I think Ms. Jessie worked on that some. She may have something to add to that.
Just, I'm not sure whether we would have too many takers of the original proposal. The only other thing too is I think we're down to maybe one policy. If we can go down to just Plan 1 maybe after this.
Change Plan 13 to Plan 1. I have no problem with that. Probably need that in the form of a motion, but change the plan number.
Because I think we only have basically one plan out there now, so,
I think we did have 6, 8, 10, 12.
right.
So this is the only retirement plan that's gonna be offered?
As of right now, the board voted last year to approve Plan 13 for this year. And that is the only plan that's offered. After that, I think Ms. Jessie had talked about the possibility of making some revisions to it and actually submitted those. I think we probably, back in December, I believe, put them in your packet in FYI. But we've got some teachers that are asking about, the early retirement plan, and they're wanting to know. Of course, right now, this is it. It's what the board approves, that the proposed changes are on the second plan. In your packet, I don't know if you want to make changes or not. If you don't, we have Plan 13 there is the plan that's in effect right now. If you want to change the plan number, I guess we would need a motion to do that. If you want to consider the revisions that's on the second plan, I just think that we're at the point the teachers are asking, what plan or do we have a retirement plan? And actually we do, but I haven't put it out yet because of possible changes.
I'll make the motion that we,
Can I make a comment first?
Sure.
On that? I agree with Ms. Jessie. I think the changes are good. The problem I'm having with all this is, how many times are we going to change things in the middle of the year? We already, I thought last year voted in Plan 13 for this year. Is that not correct? Did we vote in Plan 13 for last year?
That is correct, Mr. Williams.
So we haven't voted it in for this year.
Well, that's what you voted in last year for this year. This is the plan. But Ms. Jessie had recommended some changes to that, and that's the reason I was putting it into the board's considerations. So,
I'd like to look a little harder at those changes before I am able to vote on that.
well, does the board want us to go ahead and, we've got some teachers that are asking for it. I've had a couple of requests, so.
I'm not disagreeing with Ms. Jessie. In fact, I think I'm probably for her, but I'd like to look at those things just a little bit more. I didn't quite understand that there and see what the changes are.
Is this the revised, Mr. Carter, is this the plan that we've got in here? Is this what we voted on last year plus the revisions?
The first plan you have is actually the plan that you approved last year.
I'd be ready to vote on that. Could we get Ms. Jessie or something rather to go over the changes there in it, the differences in it? Is that asking
Mr.
too
Martin
much
said he
there?
didn't have the revi, can you give him a copy of the one with the proposed revision?
Well, I don't read very fast.
I thought the revisions
Does everybody else have that? We'll make sure.
Read.
actually, there's just one revision, Mr. Williams.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, may I?
Sure.
And that is under the eligibility, the last one, it's talking about the number of work days. And it says the one that we passed last year was 90 work days. Now, that could mean 90 work days.
Over a whole period.
That could be 90 days for 1 year every year, or it could be the 90 days over the total time period. So kind of to clarify that, I've suggested that we do 15 work days each of the 7 years, or how many years they might be eligible for.
Is that the only revision?
That's the only
Yes.
revision.
I'm for that.
That's the only revision,
Don't have any objection.
other than maybe changing the plan number.
You have a motion to approve. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, one of the disadvantages of that is some teachers in the past have wanted to do all their days in 1 year, and if we had a situation where we needed a good sub, that would be a situation where they could be used. But this says 15 days per year, it doesn't say how many years either, so.
Well, it says that on over that among the 7.
But with the one we passed, it's leaves it to the superintendent to decide or what they can work out with them is how they do their days. They may want, some of them may want to do 90 days in 1 year.
Well, I think one of the things
Get it over
though
with.
is that Well, legally, we can't exactly give a benefit without, well, we just can't kind of do it legally, you might say.
I'm not aware of that. It's been done in the past, so.
Well, I mean, and yes, I'm retired under that, but I know in some of the other locals that has been brought up before. We're really.
So we basically got two plans. We got the plan we approved last year.
That's the only we have.
Pardon?
That's the only plan we have right now.
Right. And then we have the alternate plan, which is the one with the revision for 15 work days per year. So I guess I need a motion for, let's start with the motion with the one that we had last year that we voted in. I have a motion to approve. We'll call that Plan 1 and call the revised Plan 1A. So can I have a motion to approve Plan 1, which is the one we approved last year?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion on the floor to keep the plan that we adopted last year for the ERIP. Do I have a second? I'll second that motion. I have a motion and a second. All in favor of the plan for last year, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Mike?
I can go with either one. There's not a hill of beans between either one of them, so that's fine.
Is it 2-2? And you're looking at me, is that what that's doing?
Actually, it's 2
Because
and
I'm going to
1.
abstain, it's 2-2, and you're looking at me.
It's 2 and 1. You're the one. Yes or no?
I'm happy either way. What's it, the majority right now? I voted a minute ago to keep last year's plan. I don't know
Okay.
whether you caught me or not, but that's what I voted.
I'm catching you now. The Plan 1 passes.
Mr.
3-1
Chairman,
with 1 abstention. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, can I clarify? We're using Plan 1 that was approved last year.
Yes, sir.
But we're just changing the plan number from Plan 13 to Plan 1.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
That's 3-1 and 1 abstention.
Could be in Wise County where you have an even number of votes now.
I believe we did then, I'm not sure.
I voted 3 times.
I'm not going to count anymore. Pay the bills. Do I have a motion to pay the bills?
Make a motion.
I have a motion. I have a second.
Second.
Any questions? I have a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pay the bills. Reports and recommendations of the board. Mr. Twig.
Yes, Mr. Harper, I have a couple things. First of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Carter and the directors for meeting with the Teachers Committee. It wasn't exactly what I was planning, but at the same time, at least we got something off the ground and we got something started. I think it's something that we can build on. I was just kind of, in the meeting, I would like to have, I like the directors being there, but I don't think they need to be there the whole time. I just want the directors to be there just to state something specific that may happen in their area. For example, if Mr. Fee has something going on with the computers and needs to let the teachers know, and if the teachers have anything, to relay back and forth to him, they may do so. But then also, I'd like to have a kind of like an informal thing that the teachers have more input, saying what they would like to happen at their school or happen countywide. But overall, I was pleased with the meeting, and I apologize. I want to apologize to Mr. Carter, and because I told him I'd come down Friday, but I really wasn't feeling well. But about the lesson plan thing, which is my next point, I'm still really concerned about this. And I listened to Ms. Adams speak yesterday and read all these reports, and we kept coming up with this vertical alignment. About every school we had problems with vertical alignment. Back to what I stated about a year or so ago, I think that if our teachers were involved with our benchmark testing, and do this during the PDAs, professional development days, before school starting, and develop our own benchmark tests, I think that will help with vertical alignment. The first grade teachers know what the second grade teachers are doing. Let all the math teachers work together, the English teachers, and so forth. Another area I'm concerned about, of course, I know along this goes with the SIPs, school improvement plans. And I think, school improvement plans are wonderful. But I'm thinking to myself, how many times have we gone to the faculty at each school and said, listen, what do you as a faculty think we can do to improve this school? It seems like we're getting all this information from the top down, and it might be wonderful, I don't know. But at the same time, I'd like information from people that's actually doing the teaching. I want their input. And no offense, but this sounds terrible, but most people from the State Department have been in the classroom for 30 years. And I surely would like to see them in the classroom trying to go over some of this stuff. But I'm really concerned about the lesson plans, how long they're taking. I'm really concerned about how much professional development our teachers have to do. It seems like every time I turn around, I'm going professional development. If I had $1 for every time somebody told me they're going professional development, I surely wouldn't be here, because I can buy my way out of this place. But at the same time, I'm really concerned about this. I think we're just putting so much on the teachers. And as a teacher, former teacher, I value my classroom time. I don't want to spend my classroom time worrying about whether I followed my lesson plan correctly, or whether somebody from the state's worried about how I do things. I think we need to be concerned about teaching our children and educating them to the best of their ability. And I honestly believe that nobody knows how to do that better than the teachers in the classroom. And, like I said, and I understand Mr. Sage is coming down, and he may be the greatest thing this side of the Mississippi. I don't know. But at the same time, I think I like teacher involvement. I want them to be involved in how we're doing things, and not just the state telling us what to do. My experiences with the state and the federal government is every time they get involved in something, it's worse. But that's just my personal opinion. But that's one reason why I agreed to 173 days. I think that the teachers have been overburdened with all this professional development and all this extra time and all these extra lesson plans. Well, heck, if we can give them an extra 7 days this summer, I'm all for it. But anyway, I hope it's something that we can work on, and I told Mr. Carter I sure would like to meet with Mr. Sage on a one-on-one basis and talk to him, and maybe he can educate me as to why we're doing all these things as well.
And we'll certainly try to arrange that for you, Mr. Tweed.
Thank you.
You wouldn't have been record.
If he would, you should have. Okay.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Well, I'd like to sort of echo a lot of what Mr. Twigg said too about teacher involvement, and I think too it's very, very important for the teachers to concentrate on the students in the classroom. You can have the greatest lesson plan in the world, but that can be thrown out by a situation that happens in the classroom. And I hope I don't jinx things, but given the rash of bus accidents in our surrounding counties, I would like to thank our bus drivers, and I hope the word gets out, please, about the safety of the children so far. I know you may not know for sure, but hopefully we've not had anything serious. That's wise.
No,
yeah, I know with inclement weather we may have had some that slip off the road and something like that. But as I say, I hope I haven't jinxed things now about seeing some of the things in the surrounding counties. And also, unfortunately, between inclement weather and going out of town, I was only able to visit one school during the National Breakfast Week, but they did have green eggs. No ham, but they did have green eggs. I want to thank them. unfortunately, I didn't eat them. I went with a sausage biscuit, but anyway, I shouldn't say that. I would also, our budget committee, I hope you do look at some of the surrounding salary scales as a salary scale is developed for next year, and to look at dropping the steps and changing things so that people that do want to retire can at the top of the scale. That's it.
Thank you, Jesse. Mr. Chadwick.
Just a comment about the communication committee. I think it's great that we have a communication committee, but it's my understanding the title of that is the Superintendent's Communication Committee. And we didn't get a chance to talk about this last time, but I really don't think, and this is no reflection on Mr. Twigg, I don't think there should be a school board member on the communication committee for a lot of different reasons. You didn't make it to the last meeting, did you?
Yes, I did.
Oh, did you? Okay. But anyway, the reason for that is if you're going to have a communication committee with your teachers and your other representatives, and there's a school board member sitting there, it don't seem to me like that you would get some of the answers that you really need to be getting. So I just want to make a comment about that. And I've heard the comment about the teachers not participating. Evidently, I've been in the wrong school district or something, because I think their teachers are very active in participating, and any research that you can ever read about successful schools will tell you that the number one thing that a school system has to have is professional development for your teachers. So that's my comment on that. Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to echo what Mr. Twigg said about the lesson plan involvement and all the time that it takes, and I was not aware until I was made aware of exactly how lengthy these things are, and goodness gracious, it seems like anybody with a little effort could condense some of those things into something less than 6.
I have a little bit different outlook to schedule this way or this way for teachers and everybody.